Sounds good.
And welcome back to Meeting of the Minds. Today I'm here with the great Peter Carter. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, it's good to be here, Gene. Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. Happy to have you. So take us through your journey. What brought you closer to the Lord? And then talk to us about your ministry. I guess we'll take it from the top.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I work in church music. I'm the director of sacred music at St. John the Baptist Parish in Allentown, New Jersey. And I guess with my spiritual journey, growing up, I'd have to say it started with my parents before me, because they converted to the faith a few years before I was born. And so I was raised Catholic, but didn't convert myself. So they converted a few years before I was born, but they raised me and my siblings with kind of that converts fervor in a way. So they were sure to instill in us all of the knowledge of the faith that they were learning over their years of their spiritual growth. And so I guess with my spiritual journey, I've always been close with the church. And, obviously your faith grows as you mature and as you, have different experiences in life. So for certain with that. But my parents, let's see, they're very devout into their faith when they were Protestants before Catholic. They were Presbyterian. And then, so yeah, I grew up with the sacraments. I guess part of that journey with the faith is very much tied to music and the liturgy for me. I started piano when I was 7 years old, and I was really into piano. That was like my thing growing up, doing music, and I really, really enjoyed that. And so took that pretty seriously all through like my teenage years. I think when I was about 9 or so, my family started attending the Latin Mass at the Fraternity of St. Peter Parish in Atlanta, St. Francis de Sales. So I was 9 or whatever, and, just kind of taking it in. But one of the great things for me, I was really fortunate with that, is we had a really great organist. Richard Morris was the director of music there. And so he did a lot of great music, great sacred music for the liturgy. And so I was able to grow up with that. My mom and sister sang in the choir, and I served for a few years and then ended up joining the choir and got exposed to like Gregorian Chant, Polyphony, from the Renaissance to the modern era. And that was part of my musical development, which was really great. So studying piano alongside that, I started studying the organ when I was 16, taking lessons from the organist there. And then for college, I came up to New Jersey, went to Westminster Choir College for undergrad and master's, studied organ performance, and did a lot of choral singing, and ended up getting connected with people where I currently work, St. John the Baptist, which is just 30 minutes from Princeton, where Westminster is. So yeah, long story short, I've been very fortunate to be able to use music, something that God put in my life at an early age, and use that not only as a way to express my faith, but even for my career. So yeah.
That's awesome. Great stuff. So when did you move to Allentown?
I think 2017, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I was in Princeton before that since 2011.
Nice. Yeah, because my cousins live by there. They live in Millstone by what's that road called? Let me see. 1 second. I gotta move this thing forward. My cousins live. What's the name? Not Chain of Hills. What's it? Oh darn! I forget the name of the road. What is it?
Fairless Hills, maybe.
No.
Okay.
I don't know. Doesn't really make a difference. It'll pop in my head.
Yeah, when you come visit them, you have to stop by St. John's.
That's right. That's right. They went to St. Rose of Lima.
Okay. Yeah, it's not far.
Is that close to you? Yeah, that's probably real close.
Yeah, it's not too far. So.
Yeah. So talk about then what led you to your ministry. What do you do now? How have things changed during COVID, and what the future looks like? Not that any of us have a crystal ball.
Yeah, no, I mean, staying in sacred music as a career is really unconventional for, as far as careers go. And like the more and more people I meet outside of church circles is like the more I become kind of self-aware about that. So, but it is a really great career to be involved in. It's something that, I can tie in what I'm passionate about musically with integrate my faith, and then I'm able to make a living off of that. So, I mean, I wouldn't be doing any of this though, I mean, if I didn't feel that this is where God wants me to be right now. So, I mean, that's ultimately, of course, what it comes down to. And God, plants seeds in our lives of, directions where He wants us to go. And I think, like when I started music, I don't know why that was, I really identified with that. I loved it, but that was something that God used to kind of show me always the next step for me, leading me to now, where that goes, years down the road, only He can know, but, just trying to stay open to following His will, over anything I want or I desire, So, as far as after COVID, I mean, I hope we can bounce back in full swing. I know my pastor's been really supportive of the music all throughout the shutdown. So I've been able to do music for all the live streams back this spring when the churches were closed and everything. So things are better now, but I'm still not able to have the full choir. Did I freeze there?
Yeah, but I still hear you.
Okay.
I hear you fine.
I'll keep talking then. Yeah. I don't know what happened. So I can't have my full choirs. I have a kids choir, a couple adult choirs, and let me try this. There we go. All right. So I have 4 singers who can sing for the masses, but I can't have more than that right now. So whenever God wants that to happen, He'll make it happen. So, but one thing that's really cool, we're just going to be doing this Saturday. I'm excited for this. The music ministry is kind of teaming up with like pro-life ministry. And we're going to go out, since we can't sing for masses right now, we're going to go sing outside in front of a Planned Parenthood in Trenton. And we're meeting up with some pro-life sidewalk counselors. So yeah, this Saturday is the first time we're going to do that. We'll see if that develops into something more or not, or I don't know, but whatever God wants.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely. And I know they do. Well, they do that. They do a lot of that all over. Really, I'm in Manhattan right now, but I just had Father Fidelis on, who does Red Rose, right? If you know about that. So they do a lot of ministry right outside abortion clinics and even on the inside. See, any way we could help with that, that's phenomenal. And do you stay involved with the traditional Latin Mass at all?
Yeah. So the parish where I work, it's a diocesan parish in the Diocese of Trenton, and we have a Latin Mass 3 times a week and a solemn high Mass on Sunday. So yeah, really fortunate to have both forms of the Mass at my parish, and able to provide music for both of those. We have choral Mass for Novus Ordo at 10 o'clock, and then solemn high Mass at 12:30 for that.
Yeah. You and my wife would have a lot to talk about, because she was in her choir for a long time at the church. She's a piano player. Her whole family is very, very musical. So that's that's great. Now talk about, I guess, learning Gregorian. That has to be a lot tougher for most people. Is it, or not really?
Gregorian chant, I mean, yes and no. I think it's one of those things, you know, it's tough if it's foreign, you know, like if you don't know what it is or if you haven't heard it before, you know, it's hard to judge, and you can't, you know, like you can't love something you don't know, and so it takes time to kind of experience something, and then your mind kind of opens to it, and you can begin to appreciate it more. So, I mean, Gregorian chant is really at the heart and beginning of all of the development of the Western musical tradition. You know, if we do music history and go back, you know, hundreds of years to the Middle Ages, this is what the music looked like. And the other forms of music in the West were inspired and developed from Gregorian chant. So this is kind of the bread and butter that Christendom knew in the first millennium through the Middle Ages, and other forms of music developed from that. So because it's so broad, it's a whole genre.
Right.
I'm going to stop the video again, see if this works. Yeah, it's a whole genre. So some people say, oh, it's easier than modern music to learn, or it's more difficult. And so, well, yes and no. There's thousands of pieces of Gregorian chant, and so there are, you know, the top 10 favorites, simple things that, you know, everybody can learn. You know, little toddlers can sing after listening to them at mass. You know, and then there's a lot more complex Gregorian chants that you know, maybe a solo cantor would sing, because it's really soloistic and complex and nuanced. So there's a whole gambit. It's simple enough for everybody to learn the basics and the simple chants. And that's even what St. Pius X, when he's talking about the renewal of sacred music in the liturgy, he does call for people to learn the Gregorian chants that for them to sing at mass. Not everything. The people don't have to sing everything and shouldn't sing everything, because some of it is too complex. But the simple chants that are meant for the people to sing, they should learn them and sing them at mass. You know, like the chants like the Agnus Dei and the Sanctus and whatnot.
Makes sense. Now, what's that called? Where you hear like almost, I think it's like 2 to 4 voices at once. It's a type of Gregorian chant. I would assume you hear that at Latin masses a lot. You know, I have like an Ave Maria and it says A4. I guess it's a cappella 4 people. Is that what that means?
Yeah, 4 parts. Yeah, and you can do that with 4 people, or, you know, you can double up if you have 8 people and 2 people on a part. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's really fun I get to do is, I mean, with the Latin Mass, it's great because if you can sing a lot of Gregorian chant, you can sing the whole gambit of Western sacred music by doing some of the earliest Gregorian chants. And then one of the steps up from that, say in having a few parts, is doing organum, you know, and that's where it can mean a couple of things. You can have a drone where people sing, you know, one note for a long time, like ooh, and then there's another voice on top of that, you know, singing a melody, and so you have this harmony of a couple voices. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why my video.
I hear you fine. I hear you crisp. I hear you crisp the whole time.
Okay.
So you got the audio down. You'd expect the singer to have the audio down.
So yeah, so that you have the drone and then a melody on top, and then you can get complicated with that if you want. You know, you can do like multiple drones and different notes. And so me and the choral scholars where I work, we have fun with that at times. And then you can do organum, which is kind of parallel melodies. You might sing the same melody but like a fifth apart, and so it moves in tandem with each other. I think what you're talking about is polyphony, and that's where it kind of developed from that, from chant and the development of organum and all of that. So you have 4 individual melodies, say if it's 4 parts, and it can be more than that.
Yes.
or fewer. But 4 is pretty standard. So you would have each one of those lines is its own melody.
Right.
So
it seems extremely difficult. Like, it's not like regular harmonizing. Like, I don't know how I'm going to guess practice.
Yeah, and it's just like I was saying with Gregorian chant, like it's not necessarily difficult, but it's difficult if you've never done it. Like if you're not exposed to it, it's hard, because it's just like anything you don't try, it's going to be hard the first time, whether it's like objectively not that hard, like you don't have to spend 100 hours doing this. You only have to spend like 2, but if you try to do it, the first hour is going to be hard, like, so, I mean, kids can sing polyphony. One of the great ways that music teachers do it is by teaching rounds, like row, row, row your boat. And you have, say, if you have 30 kids, and like, all right, this group of 6 kids, you start row, row, row your boat,
Right.
row,
Right.
row, row your boat. And so in a sense, that's polyphony. They're singing they're singing the same melody at a different time from the next group. That's called the canon in that sense. But the idea is it's polyphonic, which poly just means many and phonic is voice. So many voices.
Now, when you said the drone, that made me kind of think of it. Maybe I'm way off here. I'm sure I'm sounding like an amateur, but nonetheless, how the Byzantine, where you have one person start, oh, and it's like a really like loud, and then you start hearing singing over that. Is that it? Is that it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And so they basically just really loud, and they hold it, and then they might go a little bit up, a little bit down.
Right. Yeah. And oftentimes you might have a few people holding that drone so that one person can breathe and the sound isn't lost as they breathe, and the other people can cover. So yeah, it's oftentimes perceived as, more Eastern in the tradition, but it's also, I think it's very Western as well, but I don't think recognized as much as a Western thing, even though it does exist for sure. So in the West.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. So much great stuff. And I love learning about it. I mean, I was in chorus from like 4th to 8th grade, nothing major, but I love music. Yes. Yeah. My wife was singing all the time. And I hope that my wife passes that on to my boys and my future children. That's great stuff, Peter. So where can people find more information from you, and where do we send them?
Yeah. I guess, like for me, one of the main things I do is I have a podcast
awesome.
called Square Notes, the Sacred Music Podcast. So you can go to sacredmusicpodcast.com and see what I have there. There's a bunch of interviews and some upcoming interviews that we have as well. Me and my colleague, Dr. Jennifer Donaldson, up at the Seminary for Archdiocese of New York. So that's one of the other things I'm involved with, and I also am involved with a few conferences, whether sacred music conferences or Catholic conferences, and I'm involved with the sacred music side of those. So for sacred music resources, I would recommend people go to musicasacra.com, which is the website for the CMAA, the Church Music Association of America. So just Google them. They have a lot of great resources, and there's links to other sites. I mean, I could talk about resources for a while, but just go to them, and then they have resources to other things as well. So
awesome. Yeah, thank you very much, Peter. And any other sites that you think of, or even new projects that may come down the pipe in the future, we never know when people are going to be watching this. Just shoot me over a text message and I'll link it to the show notes. We could just keep sending people your way.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome. Great talking. I look forward to meeting in person one day.
Yeah, it sounds good, Jim. Maybe when you go visit your cousins at some point. Stop by.
Yes. All right. Sounds great. Take care. Thank you.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.